done.
What is going on, guys? Today we are back at it with some more LS Volvo things. As you saw in the last video, we just put the power steering pump in it. Now I've been driving around, no problems. So today we are putting an oil pressure gauge in. I have my dipstick, and we're gonna be wiring the fans better. Now, but up until this point, I've just had my fans with this ground wire, and it had a little clip, alligator clip was clipping to the ground. But we're gonna wire that in to a switch into the car today, so that's not a pain in the butt. And the oil pressure gauge, like I said, so let's do it. Sick. So the first step today is going to be running some thicker gauge wire, because I prior had this wicked small one on there for some reason, because I don't know why. Just wanted to get the fans doing something, and it melted. So we picked up some heavy gauge wire, got a switch, and we'll be running that into the cab of the car. And then I have a little bit less thick gauge wire to run power into the car, so I can run power to not only the oil pressure gauge, but the electronic cutout. Because up to this point, I've just been mooching off my friggin' cigarette lighter and using that for power for my electronic cutout and my reverse lockout. So I'm going to be running power in here from the engine bay, so I don't need to be doing that, and I can have the cigarette lighter back. I'm over here yo-yoing the wire, dude. That stuff's thick, and that will not get hot and melt and destroy everything. I have both the wires stripped right now. This is the ground going to the fan. I'm gonna probably put it under there and then put it to this guy, and Justin's just routing this wire up there. We're gonna run it across the firewall, and then there's a grommet over there. And then we put the switch on. That's what we're doing right now. I'm gonna put these together with my nice heat shrink butt connector, and then I'm gonna close the heat shrink out and make it nice. Good stuff. So we've been trying to find 12 volt ignition to run into the car for like 20 minutes now. This stupid voltmeter won't tell you, like, it just wanders. It doesn't do anything. It told us we had 55 volts. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, the battery's
so
only 12.
What we did, okay, see, screw that. We get this old clapped out, like, it still works though, Dwell Tac volts. Thing's a beast. So you see here, I made a nice spiffy connection with some alligator clips, and then I took the lead out of this and I alligator clipped it. And what we figured out was, you see, you press here on this wire, the thing pegs 12 volts. That's how you do it. Screw that other stupid voltmeter. Use the old one. Just make it happen. Oh yeah.
This thing is probably old as the Electra.
So we got 12 volts here, which is pretty cool.
Maybe even older.
We'll run this into the cab.
Word.
Currently I have my fuel pump on 12 volt ignition, so this is that right here, and I have this connector on it just so I can pull it off and play with my OBD2 and whatnot if I need to, and not have the fuel pump cranking. But conveniently also, I'm showing you, this grommet right here, this piece goes through a firewall, so it makes for a really easy time running wire through. And what I'm going to be doing right now is sending this green wire through for my new 12 volt ignition for my dump and my tack and the other stuff. Not tack, my oil pressure gauge. So that'd be cool. The thing is not that bright. It's getting a little bit too dark out now, so this will be continued tomorrow. It's the next day. We got the green wire here. That is through the firewall. Chilling in there. Get some wire. What I didn't mention yesterday is why I have this huge harness right here with just a bunch of wires. Now, this was the plug that went to originally, like, the Volvo's coil packs, injectors, like throttle body, all that fun stuff. So obviously I don't need that because I have my LS PCM and fuse box doing all that. So the only thing I really had to do with this is I'm using it for power reasons, but this blue wire was my neutral safety switch because the car was an automatic and now it has a stick in it. To get it to crank, I had to bypass the neutral safety switch or give it power and kind of let it think, trick it into thinking that we're not, like, what's it, in neutral? In drive, yeah, trick it into thinking we're not in drive or something, yeah. So we're going to continue with wiring it, and we'll update you as we're going along. Center console's out. These two wires over here are power and ground for my reverse lockout. So when this sees 12 volts, it opens up a solenoid that allows you to put it in reverse. So I want to put that to a switch. Oh wow, I'm really loud in the trash truck. Jesus. Now this is my dump, also power and ground. And now we have this nice power wire that comes into the car. So now we don't need to mooch off my cigarette lighter. We're wiring.
John's putting on a main ground point, so you can wire all his switches up to it.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. This needs to be rethought.
What are you trying to do?
It's just loose.
Is it too small of a screw for the hole? That's good.
I don't know. Just one to grab. Let's try it. So this is the power wire we just ran in from the car. This switch is my electronic dump. Now this red wire is going to the power there, getting power from under the hood. This black one's going to the ground we just made. Now this is my reverse lockout. Now I'm getting power to reverse lockout from that same green wire we just ran in, and I'm gonna put the ground wire over here up under right next to the dump switch, and put another switch for the reverse lockout so I can bang gears and know that my reverse isn't there, so I won't accidentally slap it, you know, and destroy my transmission. So I'll have two switches, but I don't have a switch right now, but we're just putting the wires, and that'll be perfect.
This whole entire car is just so stock looking, like you would never know it had an LS engine in it, especially with the exhaust being so quiet. And then honestly, it's just so funny. You walk up to the thing and see this Hurst shifter just chilling in the middle. Like, I just think that's hilarious.
Which is so random.
Literally, like, you ever get pulled over, they look at it and they're like, huh. Or when the guy ended up towing the car, the AAA guy literally looked at it and he was just like, why is there her shifter in that car? He was just so confused. The look on his face is honestly hilarious. Prices, if I had to say. But we're just
shrink tubing. We're putting the oil pressure gauge right there, so we just stuffed this metal thing down the dash so we could just pull the wires through. It's gonna be sick.
It actually fit.
I can't believe it worked. That's what we're gonna put it right in there. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna look so sick.
Jesus, I don't want the crap right there. Took a little while snaking that wire through with the paperclip thing. I think it was a clothes hanger, but anyway, we got it through, and it's not stationary right now. We're gonna figure out a way to hold that down, but all the wires are pulled through and sent up under the dash. I can see them right there. All that wonderful, colorful stuff jammed up there. But wire all that up, set of power, grounds, and I think that orange one has to go to the oil pressure sensor. So we're gonna run a wire through the firewall. There's a grommet up there, but we'll run it through the firewall and get it connected up to that oil pressure sensor, so there's no oil line coming into the car. So he's out there working on that.
I almost have the oil pressure sensor all done and wired up. That red one goes to 12 volts, which I have right there. And then that purple one, if that's a dimmer, if I can run that to my dimmer switch and it'll dim when it gets dark. Or you can run it to ground for full brightness. And I think for the moment, I'm just gonna run it to full ground. And then when you get out here, we have our wires. This is the orange one going to the sender. This is the ground that needs to ground to the engine block. And then this one is the 12 volt power that I'm gonna be putting to this one I found.
Hey bud, what are you doing over there?
Oh, well you see, this is the ground wire.
Yeah.
That they say to put really close to the sender, which is gonna go right there.
It's like above the oil filter. Point to the oil filter, that white thing right there. I can't really get the camera under there, it's just tight right now, but yeah, the oil sender is gonna be connected right above that oil filter. And they say for best results on the gauge, put the ground right near the sender.
Is there?
We gotta drain the oil because the plate we have to bolt to the engine block is obviously right above the oil pan, and the oil's just gonna spew out so we can connect the sender. So we're gonna save the oil because he literally just did a brand new oil change with this Royal Purple. So yeah, liquid gold. Eat like that guy, you know. Here we go with taking off the that block off plate. Right there.
Letting it do its thing.
Bleed out. We drained a little bit of oil. We maybe should have drained a little more. But
No,
it's
the filter's
whatever.
always full of it.
Yeah, it is.
There's always
true.
going to be oil up there. The way it is, man.
Oh yeah.
This is like, what, a quarter of a quart? Not even. Lost, you know what I mean?
No, literally. A mouthful.
Well, there she is, ladies and gentlemen.
The orifice of the engine.
Right, so we need to get the new one now.
Here is the oil sending unit. You unscrew this black piece, and that's where the orange wire goes for your gauge, and it just basically sends the reading from here, so you don't have any oil lines going into your car, which is pretty cool. And then you screw that right into this piece that goes right on the engine block. So,
It's on your oil block-off plate.
yep, it's right above the oil filter. Can't miss it, it's very obvious. So, that little black piece right there, that's a plug, and then we're gonna screw that right into there, bing. And then there's a gasket that goes in there, and it just basically bolts right on.
And we should get an oil temp reading. In theory.
It's pretty cool. While we're installing the oil pressure gauge, we also have a new dipstick, because the block that he got, it came with like the truck oil pan, and it was just giving a totally wrong reading. So this one's for the more shallow, low profile oil pan, so we'll get the correct reading this time. Right now I'm going to take out the existing dipstick. It's pretty simple. There's a one bolt right there, kind of in the dark. You just loosen that up, and then it just goes straight down. You just pull it out, pop the new one back in, tighten up that bolt, and bam, new dipstick. So just like that, new dipstick is, well, the piece for it. Now we're gonna insert the actual
We'll find the hole.
guide me. And we just gotta jam her in a little bit.
Oh, that one goes in nice and smooth and everything.
And then I can do it.
I just want to feel it with you. It feels good. The other one was wicked hard. Oh, yeah.
We don't have any oil in it. Oh, excuse me. We don't have any oil in it yet, so we can't read it yet, but very soon. You already got that thing tightened up, right?
Yeah, it's all good.
So we can fill it.
Give me a second, yeah.
Essentially.
Yep.
We're just gonna tighten up what? A ball joint?
It's tight.
Tight?
Yeah.
Alright, you know what? Before we start off though, there's a couple more zip ties.
What is going on, guys? It is yet another day. It was getting too dark yesterday for us to keep going, so we left off with putting the oil sender into the pan itself. So let me bring you down here and show you where we left off. Now yesterday I just got done putting this in. And what's cool about this oil pressure gauge itself is that normally with the older style oil pressure gauges, you would have to run an oil line into the car. Now this just requires one wire from that sender, and it accomplishes the same thing. So I like that rather than putting a oil actually into the cab of my car. So that's all done. Now the only thing we have to do today is tidy up some wiring. Put this green one to 12 volt ignition right there to the wire I found, which is right there. In the beginning of this video, you saw me and Justin run this fat ground wire from the fans that we were originally going to run into the car and use as a switch to turn the fans on and off. But that is a lot of work, and now that I've done my research and looked into it a little more, I figured out that instead of doing that, I'm going to run like a remote like relay system from a parts store. And what that will do is allow me to put, there's another coolant temp sensor in the back of the LS heads. So there's another, see that stud right there sticking out right behind the manifold? That's the plug. And I can put a sensor in there, and that'll tell the fans when to turn on, kind of like the coolant temp sensor does, but that'll tell the fans at what temperature to turn on. So I can. It's also settable, like you can change it. For now, I'm gonna take the fat ground wire we ran out, and then just run it the way it was to the ground stud of the battery. And then when I get my coolant relay kit, I'll do that. or my fan relay kit, I'll run that. For now, we're gonna get the coolant temp the oil pressure sensor working, and it's gonna be sick. I just finalized all the wiring up here. This is the 12 volts. I just ran that to the 12 volt coming out of this harness. That goes in the car. The 2 green ones that we had to run for the oil pressure gauge go down. So now I'm gonna tape all this up, make it look nice, and I'll show you when it's done. I ran out of electrical tape, so I'm leaving it just like that for the moment, and we're ready to fire it up. Going back to the old alligator clip life, just for now, just for now. Let's do it. See what we had for oil pressure. Four. Five in oil pressure. It sounds terrible. That's odd. Is it because is there enough oil in it? Let's figure it out. 60 PSI cruising. What the hell? What does that mean? Let's see what it drops to. It's just gonna straight drop. Oh, it's staying 40. I mean, yeah. This is just idling. It goes straight. See? Huh. That's so weird, dude. I'm so lost. I need to get this stop. 30 PSI of oil pressure seems to be the old Volvo's happy spot. We just took it for a ride, went for a blast, did a pull, and it seems to stay at 30 idling. It'll get this. It's at 60 at wide open throttle, so I'm not too concerned about that right now. I'm gonna do a little bit more research on what these LSs really require and what they call for oil pressure. Maybe see if 30 is not even that bad, because I am running, maybe with the oil I'm running with 530 synthetic royal purple. So I'm gonna do some more research, but for now I'm happy with it. As you guys saw how to put an oil pressure gauge in. Hope this helped. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!
Tell me pretty lies.